cold. I should be clear. You're going to be engaging with okay. Mascot weapons.
We're at IDEX 2025 in Abu Dhabi, and right now we're at the booth of the company Milkor, and I'd like to welcome Daniel Duplessis, who's the Communications Director at Milkor. Daniel, welcome, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Gordon.
Now, first off, can you tell us something about Milkor? Where are you based? What do you do?
So the company was established in 1981. It's originally a South African company and started off as a company that manufactures weapon systems, predominantly the OEM for the multiple round grenade launcher, 6-shot grenade launcher.
Yep, I've heard of that one.
And many of them in use there in different defense forces around the world. Quite proud of that achievement being a South African invention. And since then, we've actually expanded into different markets, moving into a variety of different products and systems, specifically in the defense and security clusters. No longer just although we're headquartered in South Africa, no longer just a South African company, trying to work towards becoming a global competitor on the defense and security stage. And obviously attending IDEX is one of those things, making us a better brand, a better known brand around the world. Starting off with that.
And Daniel, I'm very impressed at what you've got here on the stand. You've got quite a variety. You've got air, land, sea represented, and we have this very large UAV behind us. Can you tell us something about that?
So yeah, you correctly mentioned it now. As I mentioned, we've branched out around the world. We have a locally established presence in Abu Dhabi, UAE, responsible predominantly for a lot of manufacturing in the naval systems and development side of it. But behind me, if you look at the Milkor 380, it's an unmanned aerial vehicle. It's one of the largest ones produced and developed in the African continent, but now available to the world market as a whole. We have done quite an extensive development process throughout, essentially developing an underlying capability to make the hardware, software, all of the airframe components and the necessary aircraft components that goes with that to support the system alongside the ground control station. So it's a fully turnkey developed system that is capable of flying more than 35 hours, more than 4,000 kilometers, predominantly used for ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance operations. But as you can see, also the ability to be weaponized for strategic or opportunistic strike engagements as well.
So has this UAV been around for a wee while?
Yeah, so it has. We started this development quite a while back. It had its inaugural flight in September 2023, and essentially it allowed us to then continue the development and qualification process alongside the South African government and alongside many different governments around the world now. We've had first few sales signed at the end of last year. So now we've moved away from a development stage and a testing stage to an industrialization stage where we now offer this to clients with the first few deliveries imminent in Q3 this year.
Oh, that's very newsworthy. Anything else of importance about the Milkor 380?
So essentially it's a multi-role platform, and I think that's one of the major things. It's not just designed for military applications or defense applications.
Right.
It's actually something that we earmarked for a strategic asset for a country to obtain, meaning it can do operations in maritime surveillance, it can do operations in wildlife conservation, it can do operations in strategic reconnaissance and tactical engagements, and it can also be used for just a general surveillance or border securing operations.
So it's a lot more than just a military platform.
It's a lot more than a military platform, and it's essentially earmarked for more than just a military end user. So Specifically in the Asian market, maritime domain is a massive feature inside it, and it's something that a platform like this, alongside the multiple sensors that it contains, such as synthetic aperture radar, would be a great asset to any country monitoring quite a wide area of maritime in a domain.
Right, thank you, Daniel. But you also have some products here relating to the land domain.
Yeah, so
and I've seen you have several models of vehicles. Can you describe what those vehicles are and what are they for?
So the land domain essentially is also a division we started way back when the company started branching out into different spheres and different domains. And we started firstly with an armored personnel carrier that was earmarked for the African market, a light tactical armored personnel carrier that was rugged, easy to maintain. Then moving out away from that after seeing a first bit of success and selling it to a few clients, we've moved on to more advanced armored personnel carriers that can also be a multi-purpose approach, either doing border surveillance, command and control, section versions, and then also infantry fighting vehicles that are quite heavily armed to be used by higher-end forces as well as UN peacekeeping operations.
Okay. Yep.
And then on the trend of that, also developing and branching out our portfolio of land systems, we've also engaged in the development of the Milkor Frontier. It's a light tactical vehicle that is essentially under 7 tons, a 4x4 or 6x6 configuration.
Okay.
That is essentially earmarked for the Asian, African, and Latin American market to be a low-cost solution to do large area surveillance operations or operate within areas that is very difficult to maneuver, such as mud or sand.
Yep.
And these are essentially earmarked based on the Land Cruiser the 79 series chassis, with a few modifications and customizations to the undercarriage and the upgrade in power as well to be able to do long distance patrol operations as well as tactical special force marine kind of engagement operations as well.
So that's the Frontier. I believe you also have one called the Vanguard. Can you tell me about that one?
So the Milkor Vanguard essentially is a mine-resistant, ambush-protected military vehicle. Some countries classify it as an APC or an armored vehicle, but an MRAP is the official term that's used, essentially earmarking it for operations that you might find some explosive or improvised explosive devices. This one specifically is certified for standard level 4 A and B, meaning it can withstand quite a high velocity and a high magnitude of TNT blast on the sides and underneath the hull itself. It's also a standard level 3 ballistic protected vehicle. Earmarking it essentially for safekeeping of your troops inside very hostile environments. It can also be used as an infantry fighting vehicle or just a troop deployment vehicle with multiple configurations as a field ambulance, command variant, which is command and control station, as well as a section variant for troop carrying capacity.
So very multi-purpose. And Daniel, I believe this is the first time that you've shown these vehicles outside of South Africa. So this is basically the international debut, is that correct?
So correct. So these vehicles were essentially launched at AAD in Pretoria in South Africa in September 2024. Huge privilege to be also associated with that, as well as a company branching out and showcasing South African capabilities. This is the official first time we've showcased these vehicles even on a small scale to the international market. And the international market for armored vehicles are quite competitive. And the technologies that are being showcased at this defense exhibition is quite large as well. However, with the Milkor Vanguard and Frontier additions to our portfolio, we are quite confident that these capabilities can keep toe-to-toe with the best in the market, and in some cases also showcase the best of South African ingenuity, even on international stage.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that, Daniel. So we've talked about air, we've talked about land. Can you also talk us about what Milkor is doing in the sea domain? Because here, co-located with IDEX, we have the NAVDEX, which is the naval show. And I believe you have a boat here. Can you tell us about the vessel?
So in collaboration with exhibiting our naval defense systems at NAVDEX, we've also established a booth and a presence on the dockyard as well, and essentially showcasing the Milkor IPC, so a 12-meter surveillance vessel, catamaran design, hydrofoil assisted. It's designed for high-speed cruise surveillance operations with the capability of housing a crew of 4 people for up to 5 days. specifically used for Coast Guard operations and surveillance operations to monitor using some highly advanced electronics, including some high marine systems that is used as either radar or EO/IR combinations to actually detect objects and vessels in the ocean and report back.
You mentioned the name was IPC. Now, some people like to know what all the acronyms stand for. Can you tell us what IPC represents?
So the Milkor IPC is essentially abbreviation for an inshore patrol craft. It essentially has the capability to go up to a sea stage 4, which means it can withstand sea conditions up to 12 nautical miles offshore. Essentially, this vessel is designed to go up and down the coastline at rapid speeds, constantly surveying and recognizing different patterns of objects, vessels, and movements within a maritime domain.
So it would be suitable for Coast Guard, suitable for navies, port authorities, that kind of agency?
Correct. So it's suitable for Coast Guards, navies, port authorities, and also essentially any security cluster that is constantly monitoring Coast Guard, tracking illegal activities that are happening close to shore, especially in remote or abandoned shorelines. This can also include the illicit smuggling of goods, various different goods, human trafficking, drug smuggling, and illegal fishing operations that might take place along some remote coast guards. Predominantly for the Asian market, this is also a good asset that might be available. It's high speed, it goes up to 50 knots top speed and a cruise speed of 25 knots. So it's a high speed vehicle that is designed with fuel efficiency in mind.
And Daniel, is the IPC fully developed, is completed, is available to go to market?
The IPC is fully developed, completed, tested with relative maritime authorities and certified HATS and SATs. So it's available to the market. We've started manufacturing in a larger scale for those as well. So upgrading our manufacturing capabilities to a larger shipyard, also based in Abu Dhabi, alongside our engineering team that are not just now focused on newer developments and future products that we'll launch quite soon, but also the existing ones and having a larger scale manufacturing capability for clients.
So just from listening to you explain what Milkor is doing, it has a very broad portfolio, doesn't it? Air, land, sea, you're in every domain. And not just Africa, Middle East, you're expanding out even further.
And that's exactly the approach we took, right? Is that we needed to focus on a larger domain of expertise, focusing on air, land, sea, and cyber, and everything that has to do with that, as well as a conjoint thing, offers us the capability to provide platforms and subsystems that offers a full solution to a government or an entity like a Navy or an Army or an Air Force. And it's essential that we then move into that sphere and be able to provide a comprehensive solution that not just focuses on the vehicle or the vessel itself, but actually the entire solution to a problem that they might be facing. And then I think that's why we've had some good success, branching out to more than 65 different countries now as a supplier and a client base, with more than 5 global offices essentially available now to the market.
That's an impressive number, 65 countries. Well, I've learned a lot about Milkor today, and I appreciate your explanations about some of the products. So thank you very much, Daniel, for telling us all about your company.
Thanks for it.
Thank you very much.